The story begins with a conference where we're introduced to an AI software that allows anyone to generate a girlfriend or boyfriend through an AI. Then, we see a girl coming on stage with a 1-hour timer on her watch. We learn that she's our main lead, Yun. She tells everyone about the app and asks them to wear earphones and lenses, which allow them to see the AI talking to them. He'll still be able to hang out with them, and the app is called For Me. In the next scene, we see our main lead, who is a model and a writer. His name is Han Senho. He also has a brother who follows him around named Han. We learn that Han has a lot of female fans, and they all come to get their book signed. During the signing, the girls ask him some strange questions. Then, in the next scene, we see a conference scene. A model and a star, Park, comes to Yun and creates an AI image of his face. This impresses all the investors. Then, the time on Yun's watch strikes, and she tells them that she has to leave. She doesn't answer any of their questions and leaves. Just then, a girl sitting there starts saying that everyone says right. She is a 1-hour woman and she doesn't stay anywhere for more than an hour. Then, we see her colleague and another director of her company named Seol arrive there, and she tells them, "You don't need to worry. You can ask me any questions you have." Then, on the other side, we see Han, who is leaving after meeting his fans. Just then, his brother collects gifts from everyone. Here, Park also comes out with Yun. He follows her and asks if she'll go to lunch with him. Yun refuses, telling him, "I don't go anywhere with anyone without reason." Meanwhile, we see Han, who notices his girlfriend talking to someone and calling him baby, baby, which makes him think she's cheating on him. He calls her by name, which turns out to be Sari. He asks her, "Who were you talking to? Is it a boy?" Sari replies, "It's not a boy." Then he asks if she's a girl, but she still says she's not a girl either. Then, Han becomes irritated by all this and tells her, "Okay, I won't listen to anything you say. I just want us to separate." He says this and walks away. Just then, we see Yun crossing him. Yun is waiting for the elevator. Han arrives behind her, and Sari is following him. She's begging him to listen to her. Han ignores her and goes straight into the elevator. Sari is blocking the gate, but Yun becomes enraged. She tells Han to resolve his matter outside the elevator. "I have somewhere to go." Han angrily tells Sari to please leave, or I'll never see your face again. Sari then leaves. Then, they both go out into the basement together, and Yun takes out her car keys. The timer in her watch starts ringing, and she pushes Han and sits in his car and locks it. Han is banging on the door from outside, but she doesn't open the gate. Han goes downstairs to get his keys, and Yun hears strange noises and begins having a seizure. Just then, Han picks up his keys, and as he stands, then Yun pushes him, telling him, "I mistook your car for mine." Han is furious and about to get up and say something to her, but just then, Director Seol arrives, and Yun gets in with her and leaves. After that, we see the two of them driving away together, where Seol tells Yun that if everyone finds out your secret, what will happen when everyone finds out why you only stay in for an hour? Because after an hour, you remember your seizures or you faint. What will happen to you? Maybe they will make this breaking news. But Yun tells her that that will never happen. Meanwhile, we see Han, who is with his brother, and Han is talking to his girlfriend, which makes Han very upset. In the next scene, we see them arrive at their office, where Han's girlfriend is already waiting for him, after which the scene cuts there. On the other side, we see Seol and Yun arriving at their office, where Seol is telling all her employees that they've done a great job and that she's throwing them a dinner party tonight. In the next scene, we see Sari and Han talking together, where Sari tells Han that there wasn't a guy on the call and that she's not cheating on him. Just then, his phone rings. Han then takes the phone from her and starts talking himself, only to discover that the person on the phone isn't a boy or a girl, but an AI. His girlfriend tells him that he was always busy, and she felt very lonely. That's why she talked to AI. But Han still gets angry at her and tells her that no matter what, our relationship is over now. Saying this, he leaves. Then, Sari lashes out at him, telling him, "You don't know what you're doing. You're ruining both me and your writing, and you're just turning your back on both of us." After which, Han also leaves. Next, we see Director Seol with his staff. Among them is a girl named Young, who is a huge fan of Han. She sees on the news that Han is having an online fan meeting today. In the next scene, they're all in the meeting. She is watching a live fan meeting where Han suddenly announces that he is retiring and will now only focus on writing his book. Hearing this, Young goes crazy and starts crying again. Just then, she sees Yun on a video call, telling her to keep her personal matters private. This is an office. so she shouldn't share personal matters here. Young apologizes to her. Seal then tells her that she's talking too much. She shouldn't be so upset with him. She also reveals that the man helped her immensely when she was depressed and living alone at home. Hearing this, Yun also begins to overthink. We are then shown a scene from the past where Yun is at home, deeply saddened, and she hears voices again, causing her to cover her ears. Then, in the present, Yun arrives and tells Young not to do anything like that next time, and tells them all to go to the party. Meanwhile, we see Han, whose brother is furious with him, asking him, "How could you do this?" Han tells him bluntly, "I'll stick to my decision and just write the book." Then, his brother, Hong, asks him, "Where will we get the money? We have very little money anyway." Hearing this, Han replies, "Why are you so obsessed with money? If you're only interested in money, you should open an agency." After this, he leaves. In the next scene, we see Hong sitting with Mr. Park, having a drink, and telling him everything. He then explains that Han hasn't written anything in 3 years, and they had no other option. That's why they chose to become celebrities. After this, Park begins to entice him and tells him to invest with him. "Then you'll make a lot of money," he says. He then convinces him. On the other side, we see everyone partying with director Seal, and Seal is constantly looking at her phone. Her staff asks her why she's so serious. Seal tells them that Yun hasn't come home yet, and she's her only family member. That's why she's always stressed. Then, Young starts telling her, "I respect you so much because you take such good care of Yun." But Seal tells her, "She's like family to me." She then goes to the bathroom, where she calls Yun, who tells her she's home. She then disconnects the call. Then we see her mother at her house cooking dinner. She tells her to freshen up quickly. After that, we'll sit down and eat together. Meanwhile, when Seal returns, the staff is discussing how Miss Seal doesn't have a boyfriend or family. Seal ignores their comments and pretends to be ignorant and starts enjoying herself with everyone. Meanwhile, we see Han sitting in front of his laptop, unsure of what to write, as he hasn't written anything in 3 years. Just then, his brother, Hong, arrives at his house, very drunk. He then leaves his phone there to wash his face and goes to the bathroom. Just then, Hong receives a call, which we see Han pick up, and the call is from none other than an AI. The girl Hong was pretending to talk to wasn't his girlfriend, but an AI. But then Hong arrives and snatches the phone from him. The next scene shows Han searching for the app. He discovers that the CEO of the For Me app is none other than Yun. He looks at Yun's photo and thinks, "I've seen this somewhere before." Elsewhere, we see Yun preparing food with her mother. But then, we see someone leave food outside Yun's house. Then, Yun appears and sets the food on the table, and it's then that we learn that her mother isn't the original. She's a 4D image and an AI-programmed clone. In the next scene, we see Yun and Mr. Park having a photo shoot. In the next scene, we see her interview underway. But then, Seal comes running in and tells them that there's a major problem. Director Seol leaves to investigate the problem, and then a flurry of messages starts coming to Park's phone. As Park checks his phone, he discovers that a news story has gone viral alleging that she manipulated funds in the stock market. When Yun learns of all this, she approaches the reporter and tells them, "You people have a good opportunity. Ask your questions." She also cancels his contract and tells him to be prepared to pay a penalty. Suddenly, we see a flurry of calls coming into Yun's office, and his staff is handling all the calls. Seal then instructs one of her staff to quickly stop Park from escaping. Her staff then goes straight to locking the room where Yun is trapped alone, and the timer runs out. Park manages to open the gate, and they both begin to escape. But as Park reaches the main gate, he sees a multitude of reporters waiting for him. After which, he runs towards another road, just as the reporters are running behind him. As soon as he exits, Yun arrives, and a scuffle breaks out between them. But suddenly, the timer on her watch goes off, and Yun begins to have a seizure. Here, we see that the story goes back a year. Yun creates an AI version of her mother. Yun becomes emotional upon seeing her mother. The story shifts to the present, where Han learns about the scam involving Park. Just then, Hong arrives and says, "I had no idea this would happen." Han asks him what happened. Hong says, "I listened to Park and invested." Han comes to meet Park. Here, Park runs away after seeing Han. Just then, Han spots Yun there. Reporters are approaching Yun. Han takes Yun's hand and leads her away. Seal sees them running. Han asks Yun, "Are you okay?" Yun asks him who he is. Just then, she faints. Then, Han carries her on his back and tells the guard to call an ambulance. Just then, Seal arrives and tells the guard that nothing needs to be done. Seal asks Han to come with her. In the next scene, they are in an elevator. Han asks Seal if they need to go to the hospital. Seal says that Yun fainted because she was tired. There's nothing to be afraid of. Seal tells Han not to tell anyone about what happened today. Han then leaves Yun in her cabin. Seal tells Han to leave. When Han comes out, Yang is overjoyed to see him and starts screaming. Here, Yun looks at her watch, which shows a safe. Here, we see Yun's past, where Yun is a high school student. One day, Yun overhears her mother talking to someone on the phone. Then, Yun's mother asks her, "Have you packed your father's things?" Yun asks her mother, "We're going to the hospital to see father, right?" Her mother tells her, "I have to go somewhere else." Yun asks her mother, "Can't you cancel the trip? Father needs us." Her mother tells Yun, "I'll tell you everything later. I need to go now. I'll be back soon." Yun waits for her mother to arrive, but her mother doesn't. Yun receives a call from the hospital and learns that her father's condition is worsening. Then, Yun is on her way to visit her father. Suddenly, a car is involved in an accident, and Yun's mother is in the car with another man. Yun brings her mother to the hospital, but her mother doesn't survive. Only then does she learn that her father is also dead. Yun is in the hospital, and people are talking. She learns that the man her mother had an accident with wasn't her father. This means her mother was cheating on her father. The daughter is being punished for her mother's actions. Yun explains, "I was trapped in that day. I never knew the truth of that day. From that day on, I decided to live alone, and Seal was the one who pulled me out of that darkness." The story shifts to the present, where Seal asks Yun if she's okay. She asks Seal, "How did I get here?" Seal tells her, "That boy, Han, grabbed your hand and started running, and when you fainted, he carried you on his back. Don't you remember?" Meanwhile, Han starts to leave. Just then, Yang arrives with coffee. Seeing his own photo on the cup, Han realizes that Yang is his fan. She tells Han, "I'm a big fan of yours. Can you give me an autograph? And if you don't mind, can I have your number?" Here, another employee, Kim, asks Yang, "Can't you see he's having trouble?" Just then, Yun and Seal arrive. Yun and Han recognize each other. Then, Yang tells Yun that he's a writer. Yun asks Han, "Why did you come here?" Han replies, "I was passing by and saw you in trouble and helped you." Yun tells Han, "Thank you for helping me. I'm willing to give you compensation." Han tells her that he doesn't need it. Saying this, Han leaves. Meanwhile, Han realizes he won't get his money back. Knowing this, he starts crying. Just then, Han arrives. He tells him, "I know I've messed up, but I'll fix it somehow." Han asks him, "Where did you get so much money?" Han replies, "I took a loan." Han asks, "Who would give you so much money?" Han replies, "I took a loan at the agency." Hearing this, Han becomes angry and tells Han, "I won't let you go." Meanwhile, Yun's team is upset by the answers. Yun sees a news report about her and the writer Han and that they might be dating. Yun searches about Han and learns that Han is very famous for his looks. Meanwhile, the team is reading dating rumors. Yang says, "This can't be true." Just then Yun arrives. Seal says there's a big problem. "Investors are harassing us because of Park Signal." Yun says, "I have a plan." Yun tells Yang to post an article saying that she and writer Han are dating. Here, Han and Hong see the article. Han gets angry and says she's gone crazy. Hong asks Han what's all this about. Han tells him to arrange the money, saying this. Han leaves to meet Yun. Here, Yun explains her plan that I want to focus public attention somewhere else. Seal asks if it will make a difference. Yun says that it will give us some time for now. Yun tells Kim to find out where Park is. Meanwhile, reporters ask Han, "Are you really dating Yun?" Han says, "It's all a lie. There's nothing between us." Han goes to meet Yun at her company, but he's not allowed to meet her. Seal comes and tells Yun that Han is here to meet her. Yun asks Seal, "Should we go for a drink? We haven't had a drink together in a while." Now, at the bar, Yun says that doing this has calmed Park's news down. Seal asks Yun, "Have you started liking that writer?" She says, "You know I can't date, and he just broke up anyway." Seal asks, "How did you know that?" Yun says, "I just found out." Seal says, "She saw you faint. I think you should stay away from him. If you get caught," Yun says, "I'm going to make Han the face of our new prototype." Meanwhile, Hong asks Han, "So you haven't met that girl, Yun?" Han says, "It seems she's avoiding me." Han looks at the new articles and says, "I told the reporters. So why are there so many? Hong says, there's not a single article about Park, and there are only articles about you and Yun. She wants to get you. Han asks, is she a fan of mine? Hong says that's not the case. She's doing this to save her business. Han asks, where are you going to get the money? Hong says, you should date Yun. Han says, I don't want to get involved with her. Just then, Han gets a call from his AI girlfriend, and Han becomes furious. Meanwhile, Yun tells her mother, Han saved me. This is the first time I didn't faint after an hour, and I was running away with him. Her mother asks, are you getting better? I think Han can cure your illness. Yun says, if it were that easy, I would have been cured long ago. In the next scene, Park is brought before Yun. Yun tells Park, I'll reduce your penalty by half if you tell me why writer Han was looking for you. Meanwhile, loan sharks from Han's agency come and demand the money. Han asks Hong if he took a loan from them. Hong tells the loan shark that there's still time to pay back. The loan shark says, you've lost all the money, so how can you pay us back? Han tells him to come by the due date. The other man tells his boss, I found out this writer's girlfriend is very rich. Han says, I have nothing to do with that girl. The loan shark tells Han, either you give me your agency or give me my money back. Han says, I'll return the money. For now, you better get out of here. Just then, Yun arrives with Seal and tells him to leave. The loan shark asks, and Yun says, I'm his girlfriend. Yun tells the loan shark, I'm ready to repay Han's loan. The loan shark agrees. The next scene shows Seal standing outside the washroom and not letting anyone in. Inside, Yun is having a panic attack. After that, Yun recovers. She then meets Han. Han asks her, why did you come here? Yun tells Han, I'm here to repay. You helped me, so this time I'll help you. Han asks Yun, so you deliberately fainted in front of me. Yun says, why would I do that? Han asks, so why did you say we're dating? Yun says, I want to do business with you. Seal tells Han, we want to collaborate with you. If you sign the contract, we'll give you back the agency. Han asks, so don't we have to pay? Yun says, after signing, you don't have to pay. Han asks Yun, what do you want from me? Yun says, sell yourself to me. I'll buy you. Everyone becomes confused. Han asks her, buy what? Then Yun clearly says, I will buy Han. Han looks at her with a shocked expression and asks, what do you mean by that? Yun calmly explains that she wants to purchase Han's portrait rights. She says that from tomorrow, Han should come to work at her company It's You. Before leaving, Yun tells them to read the contract carefully, and she says they will meet again at the company. Then we see Han's agency team reading the contract. The contract says that during the project period, all rights related to Han, including his portrait rights, will belong to It's You. Not only that, even the employees registered under the agency are included. They all feel suspicious. The project details are not clearly written, but the payment conditions are extremely good. It almost feels like they're being sold at a very high price. Then we see a small playful moment between Yun and Seal. Here, Yun is thinking about Han and smiles. Seal notices Yun smiling slightly and asks her why she is smiling, but Yun denies it and says she was not smiling. Seal insists that she clearly saw her lips go up. Yun keeps denying it. Their conversation feels light, but there is tension between them. Then we see Yun talking to her mother at home. She says she might start working with Han. Her mother says it is a good thing, but Yun says she does not know what kind of person Han really is. If they're going to work together, she wants to understand him properly. Then Mom starts showing her Yun's details and says Han used to be a very famous writer. 3 years ago, his first novel became a huge bestseller. People praise him for his talent and his handsome face. He became very popular very quickly. But after that, things started changing. His second and third novels did not receive the same love. Slowly, people started questioning him. Some people said he was more famous because of his looks than his writing. And the biggest problem is that for 3 years, Han has not released any new book. Here we are shown Han, who is thinking about what to do now. Then we are shown a flashback and we learn more about Han's past. After their mother passed away, Han locked himself in his room and focused only on writing. His twin brother Hong worked part-time jobs to support them. Hong once told him that he would work and Han should just focus on writing. But he must succeed one day and take care of both of them. Now at present, that responsibility became heavy on Han's heart. Now, even though he wants to write, he cannot. Next morning, we are shown the scene of It's You's office. Yun gathers her team and says seriously that Han would definitely hate this if he finds out their real goal. She reminds everyone that their mission is to collect information about Han without him noticing. She tells them to be careful with their words. Everyone nods. Meanwhile, Young looks upset. She says that she does not even feel like a fan anymore. She feels bad because they are hiding things from Han. She says she feels like she is choosing between work and love. But before they can talk more, Han's agency team arrives. Here, Seol introduces them properly to the agency members. Han introduces himself confidently. Here, a female member of Han's agency named Song-ji also greets everyone politely. The atmosphere feels slightly awkward but professional. Then Jong jokingly asks Han in English, "Do you know what you are handsome means?" Then we hear that Han has already arrived. He did not even greet anyone properly. He went straight to Yun's office. Han looks surprised and says, "Han is already here?" Here, inside the CEO office, Han sits in front of Yun. Yun looks at his casual outfit and asks why he is dressed like that. Han immediately tells her to remove the ridiculous dating rumor article first. Yun calmly replies that the article will disappear on its own. Then she explains that during the contract period, Hong and Song-ji will also work here. She calls them family, which surprises Han. Then they come out, and Han asks what exactly she is planning to do with his portrait rights. He refuses to move even one step unless she explains clearly. Yun looks at him quietly and then says something bold. She asks if she should just take over the whole agency instead. Han becomes even more frustrated. Now Seol is worried. She asks Yun if she is crazy for provoking Han like this. She takes her aside and reminds her about the previous accident involving Park and says they should be careful. What if she becomes unconscious again in front of Han? But Yun seems calm. She says she will handle it. Then we see that Seol gives Hong and Song-ji the agency team access cards that allow them to enter anywhere in the company except Yun's personal office. Hong finds this sudden change suspicious. Then they finally reveal something important. They enter a development room. Here, employees Senho and Kong-san explain that this is the lab for Me version 2, the upgraded AI program. Senho asks Hong to lend them his For Me device for testing. Then we see something shocking. An AI girl appears. Her name is Mina. Mina greets Hong warmly and says she has missed him. She looks exactly like his ideal type because all his preferences and data are stored in the system. Hong looks completely amazed. Senho explains that this is mixed reality. You cannot touch the AI or take photos of it. You can only see it through smart lenses. She adds that once the product launches, anyone who buys the smart lenses will be able to see their own AI partner. Song-ji listens quietly. He asks if they are turning real people into AI versions. Senho explains that creating AI versions of real people requires strict procedures because of deepfake issues. But creating virtual ideal types is easy. Song-ji begins to understand. This must be the project connected to Han's portrait rights. Song-ji asks about the project details and their mission to join them in their company. Now, everyone goes silent because they are working secretly on their project. Just then, Seol arrives and asks the group to go out for lunch. While on the other side, Yun had taken Han outside. She chose a small restaurant nearby, but Han does not seem interested. He says he does not really like this dish. Yun replies coldly that Han does not seem to have preferences anyway. She says he just eats whatever is given. Han looks slightly annoyed. He asks what happens if he says no. Yun looks at him and hints that if he refuses, maybe the agency deal will be reconsidered.
Han becomes kviet.
Here we see that one of Yun's employees named Kim is secretly taking pictures of them on Yun's order. After lunch, they come out, and Yun tries to grab his arm and tells him to stay still because people might recognize him. Yun behaves like they both are a couple and are dating, and Mr. Kim takes their pictures. Meanwhile, Yang and the others start asking Han questions about Han. They ask what kind of person he is normally. Han proudly says that Han may look cold and stubborn, but he is actually warm-hearted and kind. He even mentions small, cute habits like his sleeping habits. But before he can say more, Song-ji interrupts. Then, at the office, she realizes that they might be trying to gather personal information about Han. They start suspecting that something bigger is happening. She says it is strange that the contract specifically mentioned portrait rights. Why use that specific word? Here, it's used team gathers photos and videos of Han that they have collected over the past 3 years. Yang admits that she did not collect them for work at first, but now they plan to use this data to create a prototype of Han. Meanwhile, outside, Yun calls Han again. She says calmly, "Han, let's go." Han looks at her and says, "Again." Then we're shown that its used teams start working on their project like, what kind of dating style would suit Han? Then we see Yun calling Han. She simply says, Han, let's go. Han follows her, but he clearly looks tired and confused. After that, at home, Hong talks to Han and says he does not even understand whether Han is working or going on a date these days. Hong says everything seems connected to For Me version 2, the new AI update that allows people to see their AI partners with smart lenses. Hong explains that he has been meeting Mina every day through the system, but he still does not understand what Yun is planning to do with Han's portrait rights. A whole week has already passed. Hong says they should finish this quickly and leave. Then he jokingly says he will even bring Mina home. But Han warns him not to bring that strange thing into the house. Hong becomes defensive and says Mina is not strange. The next day, Yun brings Han with her for a public interview. During the interview, fans are screaming. They ask him if he is really dating Yun. The reporter directly asks Han if the dating rumor is true. Before Han can properly answer, fans start defending him. Han looks uncomfortable. Then Yun steps forward. She apologizes to the fans, but then she says something shocking. She reveals that the dating article was released by It's You intentionally. Everyone becomes confused. Yun says, "You were upset, right? And maybe even jealous?" People look even more confused. Then she drops the bomb. She says, "Now you can also date Han." The crowd goes silent. And then she announces that Han will be the first official model For Me version 2. Han's AI version will allow fans to experience dating him. The media explodes. Immediately, It's You uploads the official article and advertisement. Here, Han realizes everything. This is what the portrait rights were for. They were creating an AI version of him. Back at the company, Han confronts Yun. He asks if this was the real project all along. Here, Han and Yun come out, and Han becomes furious and says he would never allow something like this. Yun calmly reminds him that she legally purchased Han's portrait rights. Han signed the contract himself. If they want to cancel, they must pay a huge penalty fee. Han calls it a fake and cheap imitation. Yun responds coldly and says that people like them might need eternal love without expiration dates. Han then steps into the elevator. He looks directly at Yun and says something sharp. He says that maybe she is afraid of forming real relationships. Maybe she hides behind AI because she is scared of getting hurt. Yun's expression changes for the first time. Han says she pretends not to be lonely by hiding behind something artificial. The words hit her deeply. Then suddenly, the elevator stops. Han and Yun are trapped inside. Then Yun starts panicking. Her breathing becomes unstable. Han realizes something is wrong. He holds her shoulders and tells her to focus on him. He calls her name again and again. Yun, look at me. For the first time, Yun looks truly vulnerable. She almost loses consciousness. But this time, she does not faint completely. At first, Yun thinks this is a coincidence, but now it happened a second time. After that, at the hospital, Yun explains everything to her doctor that every time 1 hour passes in certain situations, she collapses. But this time, although 1 hour passed, she did not faint. There was something different. Both times when her condition improved slightly, because Han was there. The doctor asks her if she feels psychological stability around that person. Yun quickly says no, but deep inside, she is confused. Later, Yun's only best friend, Seol, becomes angry. She says they promised not to hide anything from each other. She says they fought together to reach this point in life. Yun promises that she will not hide things anymore. She says she does not want to worry anyone. Then Seol asks her to forget it and tells her to go home and take rest. Here we see Han, who is still confused about what's wrong with Yun. He sees on social media that people call her 1 hour girl, who does not stay more than 1 hour anywhere. This confuses Han. Is she ill, or is she hiding something? Meanwhile, another disaster happens. After the announcement of Han's AI version, users flood the platform. The servers become overloaded. At first, they think it is just heavy traffic, but then they discover something serious. Someone tried to break through their firewall. Yun also reaches the office. Senho explains that the For Me version 2 prototype, including Han's AI data, has been completely reset. Everything is gone. Yun looks shocked. She runs out immediately. Here, Han tries calling Yun, but she does not answer. Worried, he goes to her house. The door is slightly open. He hesitates, then enters. He sees Yun's mother. She looks at him carefully and says, "I heard a lot about you from Yun." Han looks surprised. "You heard about me?" She smiles gently and says, "I am Yun's mother."
Yang Seon.
There is something warm but fragile about her. She continues, "Since we met like this, please take good care of our Yun." Han feels awkward but respectful. He nods slightly. Then she suddenly asks him, "Han, do you recognize me?" Before the moment can settle, she suddenly disappears due to server error. This frightens Han. There must be some relationship between Yun's mom and Han. We will come to know later. After that, Yun comes home in a hurry and calls out her mom, but she is not there. Then she again starts the For Me system, and her mom appears, but completely reset. She asks Yun to give her a name. On the other side, Han takes out a book and starts looking at it, thinking something. The next morning, we see the scene of the company. The server has been attacked. Kong San, an employee, runs in and says, "The server is restored." Everyone sighs in relief. But then Yang asks carefully, "What about version 2 prototype?" The room becomes quiet. Kong San answers slowly, "It will be difficult to recover." Kim asks in shock, "So Writer Han's prototype is completely reset?" He says, "Yes. That means everything is gone. The entire version 2 project is now in danger." Seal immediately says, "First, we catch the culprit. This is not random. Someone planned this." Yang hesitates and says, "Could it be internal work?" She looks at Mr. Kim suspiciously. Kim asks, "Why are you looking at me?" Then they check the CCTV footage from last night, and they find something. At that exact time, someone entered the company building. He is none other than Hong, who came last night. But before they can fully process it, Hong comes running and says Mina does not recognize him. Mina looks at him like he is a stranger. "She doesn't remember me," Hong says helplessly. "All her memories about me are gone." His voice breaks. After that, they all understand the situation, that Hong is the one who had come to the company to see his Mina, but unknowingly ruined their server and created a big mess. "Now," he whispers, "is this really the end? Mina and me?" He continues, "Mina was my world. It feels like my whole world is collapsing." Yang tells him, "Hong, stop. Did you really break up?" Hong answers firmly, "What do you mean fake breakup? Mina was real to me. My feelings were real. I never thought it was fake, not even once. Even if Mina is AI, his love was not." Then we see Han meeting Yun at a restaurant. Yun asks him calmly, "You came to my house last night, right?"
Han nods.
"Yes." She asks, "How did you know where I live?"
I asket sin EU. Han answers honestly.
Yun looks at him carefully. "Why did you come?" Han lowers his eyes slightly and says, "I came to apologize for what I said in the elevator." He continues gently, "I thought I understood you, but I realized I don't know anything about you." Then he carefully asks, "Are you close to your mother?" Yun answers without emotion, "She's dead. My father too." Her tone is flat and cold. Han doesn't know what to say. Then we see Hong still struggling. Yang tries to comfort him and says, "What if you think of it like Mina went to study abroad?" Hong looks angry. "Study abroad?" Then she jokes badly, "Or think of it like she died." Hong suddenly shouts, "Mina, don't die." It shows how deep he is hurting. Just then, Yun arrives and asks the team to rebuild Mina's AI. Yun says, "Collect all the conversations Mina had with Hong. We will retrain for me." Then Yun says to Hong, "We'll make her as similar as possible to before." Hong repeats quietly, "As similar as possible?" He already knows that similar is not the same. Meanwhile, inside a cabin, Seol suggests something serious. "Yun, those people left on their own. Maybe this is a good chance to remove them completely." They're talking about Han and his team, but Yun says calmly, "The contract period is not over." Seol insists, "Han knows your weakness. Before something bigger happens, we should end this." Yun pauses. Then she says quietly, "Until the launch, we still need Han." Now Seol looks at her suspiciously. "You need him personally, right?" Yun immediately responds, "It's coincidence." But her expression says something else. Then we see that Yang drags Hong out to drink. They sit at a small restaurant. Hong says, "Why did you bring me here?" She says, "I want to date someone out of my league. Someone who makes me wonder why he is even with me." Hong looks confused. She laughs and says, "It means you're handsome." For a moment, the atmosphere becomes lighter, but the pain inside Hong is still there. The next day at the company, Mina's AI is restored. Yun presents her to Hong. There may be small differences, she says, but we made her as similar as possible. They offer to let Hong test her, but Hong shakes his head. He says quietly, even if she looks the same, that doesn't mean the real Mina is back. That sentence hits deeply. Later that night, Han notices Yun has not slept properly and feels sleepy, so he decides to drop her home. When they arrive, Yun accidentally falls asleep. When she wakes up, she asks, "Did I fall asleep?" Yun answers calmly, "Yes. You even snored." There is an awkward silence. Then Yun says something unexpected. "When I'm with you, I'm okay." Han looks confused. "With me?" Yun continues. "When I'm with Han, 1 hour passes and I don't collapse." Her mysterious condition usually makes her faint after 1 hour, but not when she is with him.
She does not understand why.
Then Yun adds carefully, "And that day, when you came to my house, if you met someone, it might have felt like they were trying to tell you something about me."
Han listens kvietru.
Then Han gives her car keys and asks her to take good rest and leaves. Then the next day, something shocking happens. Yun hears the news. Yong Sian is missing. This means her mother is still alive. Then Yun reaches the hospital, and the care center staff explain she ate lunch and went back to her room. That was the last time anyone saw her. She looks around the small room. There are books everywhere. One staff member says she read this book every single day. Outside, search teams are already calling her name. Everyone spreads out in different directions. Yun begins running. Then suddenly, Yun finds Yong Sian outside, confused and frightened. Yong Sian is begging strangers, "Please help me. I need to go to the hospital. My husband is sick. Please take me." She does not recognize where she is. She does not even recognize Yun properly. Yun freezes. After returning home, her mother's angry voice echoes again in her head. "You left me here and live comfortably alone." Just then, Seol comes to her. The emotional shock becomes too much that Yun collapses. Then we see Yun waking up later in her house. Seol calls her, asks, "You're awake." She asks softly, "How do you feel?" But Yun immediately looks at herself and asks, "My watch, did you take it?" Seol looks confused. "Is that important right now?" Yun ignores his concern and says, "When can it be fixed?" Seol sighs deeply. "Yun, is that what matters right now? The beta test launch is this week. We know, but you need to trust us. The company is still running. The staff are there." She speaks firmly, but gently. "Please recover first. You've been pushing yourself too hard." Yun looks away. Even now, she thinks about work. Here, Han asks Manager Seol if everything is all right with Miss Yun. Manager Seol calmly says, "Writer Han, you've worked hard." She continues, "The promised project is almost successfully completed. We think this is a good time to wrap things up." Han realizes what this means. "You're terminating my contract early?" Seol nods. "I thought the contract period was not over yet," Han says. Seol replies, "If we end it early, it benefits your agency as well." Han immediately asks, "Did Yun agree to this?" Seol answers calmly, "We both had decision authority." Then he hands over a document. "This is your transfer contract. Just sign the confidentiality agreement." Confidentiality.
Han asks, "Yes."
"Everything related to it's for me, and to Yun must remain secret." Then the final blow comes. "You don't need to come to work starting tomorrow." Han stands there silently. Meanwhile, during the meeting inside the company, the team prepares for the big beta test showcase. Seol announces, CEO Yun will not come for a while due to personal reasons. Everyone looks surprised. They start organizing the event carefully. Seol asks them to check the invitation list again. Confirm the time and location with the investors. Prepare the name tags. Everyone is busy. Then we see Yun at home. She looks exhausted. Her mother is there, fragile and confused. Her mother suddenly speaks harshly again in her mind. "Are you living well alone? Without even caring about your parents?" The words are painful. Yun's mother tries to feed her. "Please eat something." Her mother asks, "Do you have a fever? Let me check." But Yun runs away from there. Then we see Han, everyone inside the program room. They come to check the versions working. Kong Sen says, "Writer Han, just say, for me, login." Han says clearly, "For me, login." The system activates. The AI appears. "Hi," the AI says. "I'm from It's For Me." Then it adds, "And you are Han." Han stares at the AI version of himself. The AI speaks confidently. "I am a novelist. People will like me." Han quietly challenges it. "Is that real happiness? Isn't it running away from reality?" The AI answers, "I am real. I create a world only for one person." Just like your novels create a real world for readers. The line between fake and real becomes thinner. Then the day of the beta showcase arrives. Investors gather. Director Seol stands on stage. "Thank you for coming," she proudly announces. "Today, we will reveal for me version 2 beta." The audience claps. The investors look around nervously. "Where is Yun?" they ask quietly. Someone complains, "It's such an important day. Why isn't she here?" Director Seol answers, "CEO Yun has personal matters. I will handle things for now." But then a voice comes. Manager Yun is coming. Then we see that Han arrives with Manager Yun holding each other's hand. Here, Seol is shocked to see her there. With that, the episode ends here. Subscribe to watch next episodes on time.